We're pleased to welcome now Lance Tolbert, host of Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company High School Football Scoreboard Show and producer of the Gallo Show. All right, Lance, before you get going, I just got to say, listening to Thunderstruck there by AC/DC, you know, playing competitive baseball as you did, there was a time period there where, like, every team in the world had adopted that as kind of their theme song, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to like AC/DC.
Of course.
They bring the heat, man. It gets you in the mood.
In the mood to play a little ball.
I remember we would ride around as kids, like 12 years old, and one of my friend's dad had an Isuzu Trooper. We called it the Snoozer Cruiser because they would pack about 10 people in there, all players, and he'd drive, and we'd all be passed out, snoozing and all that. And then right before we pulled in to whatever tournament we were playing, you got AC/DC. You got Crunk Up, ready to go. That's where we are in football, too, this season. I mean, it's almost over.
I know. God. Seemed like we were just having you in here to tell us about opening day, and now here we are approaching the playoffs. What's up?
We're at the semis of the MAIS schedule. Before we go any further, I do want to throw a shout-out to last season's champions because a lot of those guys are having an opportunity to do it again this year. 1A, Biggersville beat Velma last year, 53-49. Velma's back in. Biggersville's a good team. That was one of those epic battles. You never know what's going to happen there, but that was your 1A champ, Biggersville. Charleston beat Heidelberg, another very close one last year, 26-22. That was 2A. Winona, another really good team, played another excellent team, Noxubee County. Winona won that one 34-27 for 3A. Louisville, 19-6 over Columbia in the 4A. West Point, again, I mean, they were just a titan. And with the coach, Chris Chambliss, retiring, they put him out in style. 35-7, they put Laurel down for the 5A. West Jones, 23-3 over Grenada. Both of those teams are excellent again this year. That's the 6A. West Jones won that. And then Oak Grove beat Starkville in a kind of a boat racing type of scoring game there, 33-28, really close. So that were your winners last year from the public school side. Private school, Hartfield beat Prep 21-0 for 6A. Adams County Christian was 47-29 over Simpson Academy to claim the 5A championship last year. Class 4A, Tri-County was 26-13 over Bowling Green for 4A. St. Joe, 6-0 over Kirk Academy. Kirk has had an amazing season this year. 8-man, DeSoto, 32-28 for the 2A, and then the 8-man Class 1A, Sharkey-Issaquena, 32-26 over Calhoun. And that gets us to where we are now, which is playoff season. MAIS, I want to start there because they're in the second round. Really, it's a semifinal round here. So you have this week, and then the winners from all of these brackets are going to play next week for the championship. Mississippi College, I believe, still hosts that. Class 1A, you're going to have Claiborne against Briarfield, Louisiana, 8-2 versus 10-1. Wilkinson Christian, 8-3 at Lee, Arkansas, 6-4. That's your 1A in MAIS. Newton County, 11-2 over DeSoto, Arkansas, 11-0. And then you got Tuna Academy, 9-2, and Humphreys Academy, 10-1. That's your 2A. 3A set up, Marshall Academy, 9-3 over Riverfield, 9-2. That's tonight. And then Greenville St. Joe, 7-4 against that Kirk Academy team I mentioned last year. Lost that game in a 6-0 loss. Well, they're 10-0 this season and kind of rolled through the schedule, kind of like a cheese grater. Class 4A, Columbia Academy, 7-6, goes up against undefeated Tri-County Academy tonight. And then Wayne County, 9-3 versus Bowling Green, Louisiana at 7-4. That gets us to 5A. Copiah Academy is 9-3. Park Lane is 10-2. And I know Dave Hughes is fired up about his Park Lane boys. Leak Academy 8-3, and then Magnolia Heights 10-2. Those are the matchups tonight in 5A. And then finally, you got some big stuff going on in the 6A with Jackson Academy. Had a sleepy season. Nobody really was talking about Jackson Academy. You know, they have this really solid defense. Offense wasn't really clicking for most of the season. You get them to the back half of the schedule, though, and they've been really tough. They take on Jackson Prep tonight, 9-3 JA. Crosstown, not really even crosstown, just a few roads over battle. Jackson Prep 12-0, having a remarkable season. Coach Godwin, amazing coach over there. Hartfield won it last year. They're 10-2. They got MRA, who's 9-2. MRA, they got to go over there. MRA is so difficult to play at home. You never want to count any of those out on an MRA game. But, you know, that's where we are this time. Anybody can win it And that gets us really to high school football. Too many games to really isolate and mention all of them. 1A playoffs, you've just got a basket full of teams. I did want to say, though, that West Tallahatchie, Velma Jackson is going to be a big-time battle. West Tallahatchie 8-2 traveling to Velma tonight, 9-1. You have Stringer, who's 5-6, is going up against a really, really strong Simmons team who's 10-0. And then Coffeyville, who's 3-6, they'll be traveling to Vardaman, who is also 10-0. And Baldwin is 10-1, and they'll be hosting Faulkner. So that's your 1A. You can see there's some big-time games in there. Class 2A, the biggest ones out there, Bogachita at Heidelberg. Heidelberg's 10-1. Calhoun City's 8-1. They're going to be hosting Eupora. And then Raleigh, always in the mix. Scott Central, 7-4, is going to travel to Raleigh over there and see what Raleigh can do. And they're 10-1, as I said. Now, we'll get to 3A. McGee is having one heck of a season, Gerard. Been a few years since they've had a season like this. They're 10-0. Kemper County at 10-1 is going to be traveling to McGee tonight for a 3A battle. That's going to be a tough one there. Noxubee County been playing really good football as of late. They're going to host Jeff Davis County, who's a perennial power. Noxubee's 8-2, Jeff Davis 7-4. Another battle here, in East Webster and Humphreys County. East Webster's 10-1, Humphreys County 11-0. It's just going to be a fun night because you have a lot of these undefeateds or these 10-1s going up against teams that may not have the greatest record, but then you have a matchup like that. East Webster 10-1 at Humphreys County 11-0. Choctaw County's also had one heck of a season, 10-1. They're taking on Winona, a team that was right there in the thick of it last year. And probably, at a 6-5 record, don't ever count Winona out. Moving on up to 4A here, some big games. Amory 8-3 at Louisville, 10-1. And one surprise of the season, not because no one expected it, but anytime you go 10-0 in a 4A schedule, New Albany's had one heck of a season. They're 10-0. They're going to host Itawamba AHS, a very physical team. Another really nice matchup here, Jackson-based Lanier, 8-2. They have Forrest, who's 10-1. Quitman, 6-4, Forest County AHS 6-4, and Poplarville 9-2 at Columbia 8-3. A couple other games in there, but those are really the big ones that we want to pay attention to as well. Class 5A, this is where it gets real interesting. West Point's back. They take on Yazoo City 4-6. West Point 7-3. Cleveland Central in 5A went 10-0. They're going to host Pontotoc at 5-4. Brookhaven had a tough last couple years. This season, totally different. 9-1. Big-time improvement. They are heck on wheels. They got Van Cleve 5-5. Gaucher ended up the season 9-1. They're hosting Natchez. And then South Jones, the Mustangs from So-So, 8-3. And they are something else. They got a great offense. If Tootie Lindsay is playing QB tonight, we don't know, but they take on Wayne County at 4-7. And quickly here, Grenada 10-1. One of my favorite teams, pound for pound in the state. Running back McCaleb Taylor, he is a stud, man. Let me tell you what. They will be on tonight hosting Callaway out of Jackson. Callaway's 4-7, traveling up to Grenada. You also have Hancock, 3-8, is going to have a tough night at Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg, one of the best teams, again, pound for pound in the state at 10-0. Pascagoula's 8-2 hosting Terry, and then Picayune is going to be hosting Pearl River Central. West Jones back in the mix too at 8-2. They have George County tonight. And then finally 7A, Germantown 6-4 at Oxford 6-4. Oxford had a quietly pretty good season, but Germantown's got to travel up there. Madison Central hosts DeSoto Central. Madison Central's 8-2. Tupelo 10-0, number one in the state, hosting a 1-9 Lewisburg team. Starkville 6-4 will travel to Horn Lake at 9-2. D'Iberville 5-5. Some people say Brandon's the best team in the state. Well, we'll see about that. We're getting to there. 9-1 Brandon. My Cougars of Northwest Rankin have to travel down to Ocean Springs, and Ocean Springs has really played well in the last 4 or 5 weeks. They're 6-4. That should be a really good game. Oak Grove 7-3. The winner of last season's 7A championship will take on the Biloxi team at 5-5. And then the last one I wanted to mention here, you have Starkville at 6-4, a team that was right there in the thick of it last year. They got Horn Lake. Horn Lake's had a really good season at 9-2. Don't count out Horn Lakes. They're one of those you don't hear much about. But, buddy, they are playing some good football. That kind of gets us caught up with what's going on.
All these classes.
Yeah, they're a lot.
And so it makes for lots of competition.
It does.
A lot more games than we had. We had fewer classes.
Yes, sir. Well, and the top performer from last week, I got to mention, Glenn Singleton, running back from Madison Central, carried the ball 24 times, Gerard. 225 yards with 5 touchdowns in an epic battle against Clinton they won that one 49-39. Look for Glenn Singleton to keep doing that. That's Madison Central's strength, along with that defensive line that is absolutely lights out.
I've heard a lot about
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Singleton,
the Jaguars.
Something else, man.
That's what I've heard.
You hand him the ball and you go win us a game.
What's his future look like?
Good. Yeah, I mean, that's the guy you sign. Yeah, there's several of those in the state. McCaleb Taylor, him. You got Deere. Just a lot of great players out there.
Franchise-type players.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lance, appreciate you coming in with that great rundown. Thanks a lot, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're stepping aside for a break right now, folks. We're in the Element Wealth studio, coming right back. We got Kelly Bennett, by the way, in the next hour.